Well, good morning. Technically, it is morning. We're just after midnight. The night from the 15th to the 16th of December. We have left the island of Gran Canaria, the port of Las Palmas, in the Canary Islands this morning. As we had originally planned, when we planned this trip about 2 months ago, our fourth crew member arrived the day before yesterday. We had a very good weather window to leave from the Canary Islands to our next stop in Cape Verde Islands, about 860 nautical miles, roughly about 2,000 kilometers further south, westerly of the Canary Islands. So we left still with a reasonably good weather window, because in the Canary Islands we are still pretty much north, so we're not in the trade winds yet, the stable trade winds that would carry us towards the Caribbean. And the weather that far north still is influenced by the North Atlantic lows, typical for winter weather in the Northern Hemisphere. So the weather does vary quite a bit. We have quite a bit of weather prediction and wind prediction software models that we use. So for the last week we've been comparing the different models with the predictions, and it looked like 3 days ago, it looked like we had a reasonably good weather window coming up. And so we decided yesterday to lift anchor in the morning of the 15th, the next morning. And so far it's been, we had good winds. We had between, let's say, 12 and 15 knots of wind the whole day. We're now just after midnight, so we've been on the road or at sea for roughly about 15 hours or something. I just came on shift. I took over from the skipper. We work in shifts of 4 hours. At the moment the winds are slightly lighter than during the day, which is also typical what we've seen for this time of the year, at least during our trip. The wind comes from the northeast, east-northeast more or less. So if you look here on the left, I hope that the camera can focus. On the left you have the true wind direction. It comes from 60 degrees. And you also see the actual wind speed. At the moment we have between 10 and 11 knots. We of 10, 11 knots of wind speed. And the wind, if you look at the blue arrow, you see that the wind comes pretty much from behind the boat. So the sail configuration at the moment, let me see if you can actually see this on video. As you see, we're well sheltered here. I don't know if you can see it, it all looks pretty dark. Yeah, probably you can't see anything on the video because it's pretty dark. It's during the night, and the moonlight is not very strong at the moment. So we run at the moment wing on wing with the mainsail and the foresail out in different angles. So The foresail, the big Genoa, is out on the left-hand side, and the mainsail is out on the right-hand side. Is a good configuration when the wind comes from behind. For those of you who are sailors, I use not the real sailing terms so that other people can also, who are not sailors, can understand a little bit what I'm saying. We're at the moment, our course is about 240 degrees. We are running on autopilot. You can probably see in front of the screen the steering wheel, the helm, move a little bit. So the the autopilot is set on wind vane, which means that it keeps a steady angle towards the wind, because the wind is shifting quite a bit. On this display here, the white lines, you see the graphs, are over, I think, a period of 10 minutes, the change in wind direction and wind speed. So we're reasonably stable. A reasonably stable wind speed on the right hand side and a reasonably stable wind angle on the left hand side. So it's a very, very calm night. I don't know if on the video you can actually see the sea. The boat is almost not moving, which is quite exceptional, because we're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Well, not in the middle, but we're definitely in the open Atlantic Ocean. There's no shelter here, and normally you have a much bigger swell. I think it's the first time that I've been that deep in the Atlantic and not have a big swell. I would say that we have a swell right now of maybe a meter, which is minimal. So the boat is really stable. However, as the vessel we're on, No Worries, is a pretty heavy vessel. It's a real ocean-worthy vessel. So she likes strong winds, and at this moment, at 11 knots of wind, of true wind speed, this is not a lot of wind. So with the little swell that we have, the only thing that we have at the moment is that the sails are flapping. So with the swell that we have, that comes rolling in, it pushes the boat either sideways or forward. At this moment it is putting forward, and each time it gets this push moving forward, the sails lose their wind, and then after the swell, after the wave, the sails fill up again, which each time gives a bit of a bang. It's not heavy, because it's not a lot of wind, so it's not really violent, but it's a bit annoying, because each time you hear the creeping and the flapping, as you just hear right now. So normally tomorrow, during the day, the wind will pick up a bit again. We are as during nighttime, we're on radar, and we also have automatic identification system. So the boat broadcasts automatically its identification over VHF. So any vessel in the VHF range can see on their plotters, if they have AIS, automatic identification system, they can see our position from, probably it depends on the vessel, sometimes between 10 and sometimes up to 20 miles. So here you see actually another vessel. If you look on the screen, you can't see my finger on. So if you look right at the edge of my screen is another vessel, which is at this moment about 21 miles away from us. So we pick up their IS signal here in the middle, where the green and the red lines intersect is our vessel. So right now we're pretty alone, not much traffic going on here. So we keep a lookout at sea. first on IIS, see if there's any vessels in there, but not all the vessels have IIS, automatic identification system. So we also have the radar running, and normally when something pops up, when a vessel would pop up on radar, it would show up as a red dot. And there are smaller vessels, sometimes fishing vessels don't switch on their IIS or don't have IIS. So this is the second security that we have, not to come in collision with another vessel. But at this moment on radar there is nothing. We only see the a cargo vessel that is 30 miles off, but they're going in another direction. So far calm night. We hope for the first 3 days in our crossing now to Cape Verde, we have reasonably unstable weather. Unstable not in terms of too strong winds, but unstable in terms of either no wind or light wind. So at the moment 10 knots is pretty light. But if we can keep making our way further south, then in 3 days we should come in more stable, stronger winds that push us further to the south in our direction. So if we can make good way in the first 3 days, then for the next 3 days after that we should have very nice and fast sailing. At this moment, in terms of fast and slow, at this moment we are not fast. We're about 4 knots. 4 knots is roughly about 7-8 kilometers per hour. So this is not fast in terms of car speed, but also in terms of boat speed this is not really fast. But still we're going in the right direction, so we're not bothered about that, knowing that during the day it will hopefully pick up again. So far a good sail. We're now about 50-60 nautical miles south of the Canary Islands. We did about 70 miles since we left port. We had a beautiful day. Well, it started rainy early in the morning, but then it cleared up and it became a beautiful sunny day. And we caught a bonito, a fish. We have a fishing line. I don't know if you can see it. Probably not. Yeah, I can see some glimmer. This is our fishing rod. So we caught a 10 kilo bonito fish. And we part of it we ate as sushi this evening, and the rest went in the freezer as fish sticks, and it was yummy. This morning I was on mother watch the day that we left, so in the morning I made as brunch. It was a late morning, it wasn't breakfast, it was brunch. I made Spanish omelette with hamburgers and toast, a good healthy and full brunch. And then in the evening I made a spaghetti with a typical Italian ragu, meat tomato sauce. And I also prepared some meat for tomorrow. So I marinated meat in olive oil and Arabic spices, marinated for a couple of hours, and then steamed it, so that is ready for tomorrow also. Voila, this is from sailing vessel No Worries on passage between Las Palmas in Gran Canaria to Cape Verde. Around 12:30, half past midnight, we're signing off, and we wish you all a good night and hope you enjoy our update.